Billy, could we have some cooperation? Hello everyone. I'm not sure how this video is going to go. Basically, Billy isn't very well. I don't want to get emotional filming this because we don't even know. Just give me a minute. For those of you that have been following along, you'll know that I've had problems with Billy's foot for a couple of months now. Oh my god, I can't stop! So I've had problems with his feet for a couple of months, and the issue just isn't resolving. I had his hoof x-rayed last week, because I just wanted to check there wasn't a stone or anything trapped in his hoof, and couldn't see a stone or anything on the x-ray, but the shoes that he's wearing did mean that quite a critical part of the x-ray was hidden by the shoe, so the vets didn't want to remove the shoe as it is sort of alleviating some of the pain for him. So I'm waiting for the vet and the farrier to come out together now. The farrier is going to remove his shoe, they're going to x-ray the foot and then pop the shoe back on, and then we should have some answers. It's either, and hopefully it's just a really bad, hopefully, oh god, hopefully it's just a really bad abscess. Both my farrier and my vet think that it could be a keratoma, and I just really hope it's not. I mean, if it is, it's fine. Stop it. Worst case scenario, it's a keratoma, he's got to have it removed and we'll just have to deal with it. But I just really hope it's not. I'm really praying that it's just a horribly bad abscess, because I don't want him to have to go through surgery. But, I mean, I can't control the outcome. Whatever's going to be is going to be, and we'll just have to deal with it either way, or whichever way it goes. For him, I don't want it to be a big issue. I want it just to be something that will resolve quickly. So the vet and the farrier are on their way at the moment. I probably won't film when they're here because I want to just be completely focused on what's going on and just understanding what they're talking about, because I think that's important. You've got to come from a place of knowledge and understanding for these things, even though it's difficult because I'm not a vet. But you've just got to arm yourself, just getting eaten, you've got to arm yourself with as much knowledge as you can, so that when the vets and the farriers are offering up their advice and their opinions, you're not just completely at their mercy. If you know a little bit about what they're talking about, you can kind of make decisions for yourself and decide what would best suit your horse, rather than a few years ago when Billy had his navicular diagnosis. I didn't have a clue and I was completely at the mercy of my vet at the time, and looking back now, I wouldn't have gone along with some of the things that he suggested if I'd have been armed with a bit more knowledge. So knowledge is definitely power. No one knows your horse better than you do, and just because a vet suggests something doesn't mean you have to go with that. So, you know, we're going to absorb as much information as we can. I've already done a ton of research. I've been all over YouTube, going through articles, reading books about it, so I know a little bit, but horses are certainly educational and heartbreaking. Okay, I'm gonna go. I'll film again once we've had the x-ray done and we know what we're dealing with. So the farrier got here first and he just removed Billy's shoe, and I took a photo just so you can see what the starting point was. We did all the x-rays, and the vets, the farrier and my barefoot specialist all sort of came to a couple of conclusions and just things that they wanted to rule out. So we decided to go ahead and just start removing a section of the hoof wall, because it was so infected anyway. It wasn't really performing its function to the rest of the hoof. If anything, it was probably more damaging to leave it on the hoof and let the infection spread than to just remove it. So that's what we're doing. You can see he was so careful removing the hoof. It was section by section. He only started with a very small amount, and then as we could see, the infection was quite substantial. He had to take more and more away. But you can see at the very beginning, the inside of the hoof is this brown colour, whereas it should be a clean white colour. The vets have just left, and they've been with us for just over 2 hours, which is quite a long time, but it's been very productive. It's been an emotional roller coaster, but I am feeling so much more positive about things now because we've been proactive. We've done as much as we can to help him for the moment. So basically, the vets turned up and I was just so scared because there was 4 of them, and I thought, I've never been in this situation where all the vets and the owner of the practice have turned up. That this is serious, it's not, you know, I thought, oh my god, he's going to have to be put down. Like, I just can't help myself, I just get dramatic. The farrier also came along with my barefoot guy. So there was a big group of us and they took the shoe off, re-x-rayed the foot. I think they took 3 x-rays because they weren't sure. There was just a couple of different areas. There was the black line of gas or pus that we could see on the original x-rays, and also they weren't sure about his pedal bone. They thought that looked a little bit suspicious as well, and they suspected a keratoma, but they were like, it's either a keratoma or it could be an infection of the pedal bone. And I thought, oh my god, there's just so much going on, and it was all just, you know, I can look at an x-ray but I won't understand it in the same way that the vet will. So that was quite interesting. So once they'd taken the x-rays and they were just studying them, they were all kind of chatting amongst themselves and including me, and they kind of suggested to me, how would I feel if they cut into the hoof and took away the infected part of the whole of his front wall. Not the whole of it, but like the bit that was infected, because they said it's dead tissue anyway and it needs to be removed so that they can see if it's a keratoma, or if it's not a keratoma then it gives them more access to the pedal bone. So I said, yes, that's absolutely fine, like, just go ahead and do that. And they started making quite a small cut in the front. They said it should be white, and his was just brown and black, and it just looked dead and really rotten, and it stank as well. So it just wasn't healthy tissue, and they thought there's no point it staying on anyway, we might as well just cut it off so he can at least he's not still trying to repair that. They said there was some granular tissue as well, which is like he was trying to form a scab. He's basically been trying to heal himself, and he's just not quite managed it. So they're removing all the granular tissue, I think. This is how I understood it anyway, but I'm not a medical professional. So they were cutting away, and then they thought actually this infection tracks up quite a long way, so they almost cut up to the coronary band, maybe like an inch or so. Then once they were quite happy with how much they'd taken off, you could see the difference in what the tissue looked like. It was all white and clean, and that's what it should have all looked like. As they were cutting into it to start with, the vets were saying that normally it would be absolutely pouring out with blood by now, and there was just no blood, which just proved how dead and rotten the tissue was. And Billy was a saint. Obviously they nerve blocked him so he couldn't feel anything, but he wasn't doped. He literally just stood there and was like enjoying the attention. So they kept cutting away at his foot, and then they decided that it certainly wasn't a keratoma, thank God. What they're thinking is that it's either just a really bad abscess that's tracked the whole way up the foot, and in which case removing the wall and keeping him on his antibiotics for a little bit should solve the issue and it should all dry out and heal quite nicely. But then if once he's off the antibiotics it flares up again, or if it doesn't heal properly and it's all just looking a bit grotty still in a couple of weeks' time, they're thinking then it could be an infection of the pedal bone. I can't remember what they called that. It was like it was like sepsis of the pedal bone, because there is a slight change in the front of his pedal bone. It doesn't look quite like it should. So they said in that case they've done part of the surgery anyway. By removing the hoof wall, they'd have to do that anyway. So now it makes it really easy. In a couple of weeks, they can just go in and do a scrape of the pedal bone and just remove any infected bone. And then that should be it. I think they said they're going to come out in 5 days, 4 or 5 days. So today's Monday, they're coming out on Friday to change his dressing. And then I should be able to change it myself going forwards. And he shouldn't need to be on box rest for too long. I think if he needs the pedal bone scraping, then it's going to just add another week onto his recovery, but nothing significant. But if it is just wait for this to heal, then in a couple of weeks they can put a shoe on. I don't know if it'd be a normal metal shoe or a special kind of shoe to facilitate the healing, but they'll put this shoe on, and then it's just a case of starting to walk him out and just starting the exercise. So it's all looking good. It's not looking like he's going to have months and months or a year off, and he's certainly not going to be put down. My barefoot guy has a wicked sense of humour, and most of the time I do as well, but when things are wrong with my animals, I have no sense of humour. And he turned up and he said, "Have you got the JCB coming?" I thought, what on earth for? And he was like, "To dig a hole in the ground." I thought, you can't say that. Like, I laughed, which is what he was hoping for, but I wanted to cry. I did. So yeah, it's been a process, but we've made some good positive forward steps, and his recovery shouldn't take as long as I thought. So if he doesn't have to have the pedal bone scraped, then the hard bit's done and it's just now the recovery. If he does need to have it scraped, then it'll add a week onto his recovery time, but nothing significant, and there we are. It's 9:30 and I've just come out to check on Billy and give him a feed, because the vet did say that although he had quite a large dose of bute earlier, I could either wait until the morning or come out now and sort him out. So we'll give him a feed, put some antibiotics in it, give him some bute, muck out his stable. I'm half tempted to go and get McAlester back in so that Billy's at least got some company tonight. But we'll see. So that's his foot all wrapped up. I don't know if you can quite see how enormous that bandage is. When you have scares like this or moments like this, it does just make you just so appreciative of them. And, you know, now I've only got the 2 horses, I'm going to make it my absolute mission to just make sure they are as looked after as they can be. And, you know, I wouldn't say that I've not looked after my horses in the past, but there are definitely some areas where I could have been better. And especially almost with Billy, because he is such a good, easygoing, try-hard horse, you do take that for granted a little bit. So I'm going to just try and improve how I do things, and, you know, I'm going to start that off by giving him a really nice deep bed now, just to keep his feet really dry, really cushioned. And yeah, the road to recovery starts here. So the lighting is not very good in here at all, but he's having 25 mils of that twice a day. So 50 mils a day, doxycycline. We're going to call that doxy. That's the antibiotic. And then he's having 1 sachet of bute twice a day. Got plenty of that to be going along with. And then just his normal feed. I think we'll give him a good measure of vitaferrin tonight, just because obviously he's lost a lot of blood today, and this will just hope, I mean, it may not, but it's worth a try, isn't it? We'll try anything to help Billy feel better sooner. So we'll do a glug of that in there. Are you hungry? Do you know, I'm absolutely exhausted. I think it's the emotions of it all. Like, you won't see me getting emotional about anything, but when it comes to my animals, I just can't help myself, and I'm so drained and just, I don't know how to describe it, but I just feel like I've been hit by a bus. I'm sure Billy feels a lot worse because he's had his hoof sawn off, partially, but I'm just so zonked. But overall, I'm feeling really good about things. It's just, the situation feels under control. We've got a plan. We're making positive steps forward, and that's all we can do, isn't it? So, one step at a time. Isn't that right, boy? It's a lovely poo stain he's modelling for you. Right, I'm sure this won't be the last you hear about this saga, but this probably will be the end of this video, so, you know, fingers crossed there's no major dramas now. Fingers crossed.